Legal experts agree that Trump has already broken the law or abused his powers so many times since the start of his second term, just a few months ago, that any other president would have been impeached by now, which is true. Now, whether it's his repeated lies to Americans, stopping on the Fifth Amendment guarantee of due process for all, the First Amendment guarantee of free speech and freedom of the press, how about breaking the emoluments clause, abusing the pardon power, or cutting off funds already spent by Congress? The list goes on and on and on. And most level headed Americans would agree. But I was floored today when I saw that several conservatives and MAGA types are flat out saying that Trump is breaking the law, like right now, in real time. So do me a favor, you hit subscribe to Really American Media, and I will prove that even a broken clock is right twice a day. And speaking of clocks, why is MAGA saying that Trump is breaking the law? Well, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. That's a clock joke, which will now make sense.
Well, as all of you know, because the president put it out on his Truth Social today, he did sign an executive order to extend the TikTok ban for 90 days. So in the effort to make a deal.
That's Propaganda Barbie announcing that for a third time, Trump has extended the TikTok ban. Now, in case you don't recall, a law was passed and upheld by the Supreme Court stating that TikTok was to be shut down back in January of this year unless ownership was transferred away from their Chinese parent company, ByteDance. The law allowed for a one-time extension if Congress agreed that a deal was imminent. So Trump, without actually talking to Congress, used that option, and by April, he and J.D. Vance assured us that a deal was imminent. But then this happened.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day, waiting for a long time. April 2nd, 2025 will forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn, the day America's destiny was reclaimed, and the day that we began to make America wealthy again.
Yep, but instead of making America wealthy again, all it did was piss off the rest of the world, including China, who then backed out of the TikTok sale. Whoops. And ever since then, Mr. Art of the Deal has been trying to get the sale done, but with no luck. And since he promised he could do it, and since TikTok feeds his ego, which is the main reason Trump is actually doing this, he found himself painted into a corner with a third extension being his only option. Now, several mega politicians were asked about the possible extension yesterday, and it did not go over very well. I'm not overly delighted, said Senator Roger Wicker from Mississippi. Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri said, that's not my favorite thing. I'm fine with him trying to sell it. That's fine. But I think at a certain point, we've got to enforce this law. And Senator John Cornyn from Texas said, I'd like to see this law go into effect. And today, Senator Maria Cantwell from Washington State said this.
I'm concerned that these extensions of the TikTok deal are illegal. Note that Congress passed this law and the president extending the deadline to allow them to continue to operate in the United States under the control of ByteDance and the Chinese government is not what Congress intended.
Now, in fairness, Senator Cantwell is an evil Democrat, so you could argue it's not surprising for her to say that Trump is doing something illegal. But it was definitely shocking today when a long list of conservatives came out and said the same thing. Like Jonah Goldberg, the editor for the right-leaning Dispatch site, he said, there's nothing in the law or the Constitution that allows for this. The National Review senior writer Dan McLaughlin posted, this, by contrast, is brazenly illegal. Congress passed a law. It has very narrow rules for an extension. He's nowhere near satisfying them. Ouch. Charles Cook, also from the deeply conservative National Review, simply said, brazenly illegal. And you know it's bad when a guy from Fox News says, this is illegal. Are you noticing a theme here? Even X, which I believe is owned by a crazy mega guy, added this note to all of these posts. The president has no legal authority to extend the deadline another 90 days. SCOTUS and TikTok v. Garland, the act permits the president to grant a one-time extension of no more than 90 days with respect to the prohibition's 270-day effective date. Wow. And then several mega accounts piled on, like this guy Sonny, who posted, quote, Most areas where I disagree with Trump, it's just about policy differences. On the TikTok ban, his actions to keep delaying are purely unlawful. There's no colorable legal argument for him. The law is very clear. The fact it's done to help a billionaire supporter isn't worse, but it's still disgraceful. End quote. So with all these MAGA types sounding more like lefty liberals all of a sudden, remind me again, why is Trump doing this to himself?
I just saw with TikTok, I was number one on TikTok in its history. Can you believe that? So I guess I like TikTok. That's why they're saying, are you saving? And we probably will save TikTok, actually.
And there you have it. The only person that Trump cares about is the person staring back at him in a mirror. So, good news if you love TikTok, bad news if you love the rule of law. Comment below and let me know how you feel about all of this. Get vocal. From the Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve podcast, available everywhere. I'm Steve Harness for Really American Media.